Hi everybody, this is Todd Olthoff from toddolthoff.com coming back at you with another screencast. In this week we're going to talk about network accounts, and more specifically, how do you connect to your network accounts when you're outside your network? I've had some questions from people wondering, if I set up these network accounts, will I be able to access them when I leave the house? Or will I be stuck with only being able to use them when I'm inside the network? And so the good news is yes, you can access your network accounts or your Open Directory from outside your network. And I'll show you how to do that. There's a couple of ways to make that work. First thing is to understand that you could access your Open Directory directly from outside your network if you wanted to. Now there's some security concerns with doing that, but you certainly can do it. In order to do that, you would have to just come into your router and you'd have to add a new service for Open Directory. You just click this little plus button right here, and you would just add a new service. Just click Other on here. And then you're going to want to type in your service name. And so you can put in Open Directory if you want to, or whatever. And then you're going to want to put in here port 389. Of course, port 389 is what will open it up. Now for me, I'm not going to do that because I prefer a more secured method where you VPN in first, and then once inside the network, then you do the bind, then you go ahead and access your network accounts. To me, it's a little more secure than having someone access my Open Directory itself, but you certainly can do it this way. You can open that port and make that work where you can have direct access to your network services. If you're not too concerned about the security side of it, you can do it that way. And basically, of all the steps I'm going to give you, the only one you don't need to do is you just don't need a VPN in first. But I'm going to show you how to do it with a VPN in first, just so that I cover every step for those who want to have a more secure setup. So now let's take a look at how we get started with binding our computer to the server. Now to help us do that, what I've done is I've got a screen share here of another computer. You want to come into System Preferences here, and again, in order to get started, you want to make sure you're VPN'd in. So you want to come to your network area here, make sure you have your VPN set up, and you want to connect. And so now that I'm connected to VPN, I'm ready to go. So then once I've got that set up, I want to go to Show All again and come here to Users and Groups. And let me just click on that. And you want to click on Login Options, and it'll ask you to authenticate, which I've already done. And you can see down here it's got Network Account Server Join. So you click the Join button, and then you type in your server's name here, okay, which I've done right here. And it's going to think a little bit as it looks on the internet to find this particular directory, and then you click OK. And then it says, hey, you sure you want to trust this certificate? And I say, yeah, I want to trust it. And then it gets the server information, and it'll go about the process of getting it ready to bind. And so I'm going to show you once it's bound the difference in that. But again, you got to remember that you have to VPN in order to bind to the server remotely. Either that or be on the local network first. All right, do I want to trust the certificate again? Yes, I will. And so now it's getting the server information, and it's going to start the process here in a minute. And so once that's done, then we'll come back and take a look at what it looks like. Okay, so now I've just finished binding to the server. You can see now I've got the server down below, and I've got a green dot, which is what I want to see in order to be able to access my network accounts. What you'll see is if I turn off the VPN, this will go to a red dot, which means it can't access the network server anymore, and then there's no option for me to be able to access those remote accounts. So you're going to want to make sure that you always VPN in before you try to access those network accounts, or it's not going to work. Now before we try to connect to this server, one more thing you're going to need to do. Let me just go back to Show All here for a minute, and let's go back into Network. And on your VPN, what you're going to want to do is go into Advanced, and you want to make sure that these boxes are unchecked. You don't want to have your VPN disconnect when you're switching user accounts, because if you do, then you lose connection to your server and your network accounts won't work. Or disconnect when a user logs out. You want to uncheck those, make sure those aren't checked, so that you don't get bumped off your VPN when you're doing your user switching and stuff like that. So I just wanted to show you that. You want to make sure that that's set up that way as well. Okay, now what you can do is switch users. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to go to a login window, just like this. And so once that login window comes up, then what you do from here is just log in with your network account. So whatever network account you've already got set up on your server, you can go ahead and log in with it here. And so I'm going to do that right now. And now it's going to go about the process of logging in. Now it could take a little while for it to do that, again, because it is going over the internet, depending on your network connections and things like that. You want to give it a little bit of time. But I'm going to let it go ahead and go through its login process here. And when it's done, I'll come back and show you what it looks like to be logged into that account. Okay, here we are on the network account. And so this is actually my login screen. It's my network account for one of the users, actually myself, on a server. You can see the name is changed up here. It's now my name that's on this account. You can see I've got my information there. And so it works great. And as you can see, if I just go to the Finder and pull that up, I've got all my home folders and everything displayed right over here, just as I would on the actual server itself. And so that's how you do that. So it really is nice. It does allow you to do network accounts remotely. Like I said, there's a few adjustments and things like that. You'll have to make sure that you don't have a firewall blocking your connects or anything like that. You want to make sure you have the right ports open on your server to allow that to happen. But once you do, it's up and ready to go and works really well. So that's all I have for you this week. I'll be back at you next week with another screencast to help you learn how to do more things with your Mac.